Why must I write? She says in 1949. Why should I write about who am I, But I have a story to tell. And then,
it begins.
Therefore, I have a story to tell.
Nice. You were sharing with me yesterday that you are now doing some research on your grandmother.
Yeah.
Can you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
So actually, it began because I wanted to write a proper political memoir, a book about my mother, right? And I began that project and I found this little wooden box with my grandmother's writings. And I picked them up hoping to find something useful to write the book on my mother. And I was completely captured by my grandmother's writings, which was pages and pages of autobiographical narratives, short stories, fictional stories. Well, I say fictional stories. What do I mean by that? Because it's really stories about her life, autobiography, but where she couldn't quite say this is me, right? But she said it is this young woman Lakshmi, it is this young woman Meena, it is this young woman Kamala. But she also then basically talks about her life through the stories of these young women. So really autofiction, right? Autofiction. And poetry and essays and all of that. I realized as I began to read that this was a book in itself. This was a book project in itself. So it's a story of a young girl coming of age, of childhood and then girlhood in small seaside towns in the Coromandel coast of Madras Presidency in the early 20th century, in the 1910s and then the 1920s. And she has this beautiful language in which she captures this aching quality of loneliness, of growing up essentially in a world full of books with a teen mother. Her mother was only about 14 years older than her father, was almost always away on his camps. So it was her, a little brother, and her mother who was also very lonely. But this mother who then raises her two children by taking them on long walks in the countryside, reading to them, telling them stories. And it's a very, I mean, many parts of it that were very, very moving. A mother was dealing with her own sense of melancholy, right? So that mood, I thought, was captured so beautifully, so hauntingly in my grandmother's writing. And then of course she takes us through different phases of her life when she's, a young girl with dreams of meeting the right man in her life. Is he going to be Darcy or is he going to be Sri Ram? Won't have anyone less than Darcy or Sri Ram, right? And then the story of her marriage, which she tells us not through her first person voice, because there are parts of it that she cannot bear to tell us directly, but she tells us through Meena's story and Lakshmi's story. So then all of this became part of my book project, which is really the story of her life and times, and of the many ways in which it is possible to recover the story of a woman who keeps insisting that she's absolutely ordinary because she's only a housewife and she's really done nothing with her life. She's except raising 5 children and looking after all the cows in the shed and looking after her own ailing parents and somehow trying to survive her hostile husband, right? All of that. But really, as I say it, as I bring it together, I hope to show that it's quite an extraordinary woman and it's quite an extraordinary story. The title is A Woman of No Consequence, because that's what she calls herself.
Okay.
Woman of absolutely no consequence. Why must I write? She says in 1949. Why should I write about who am I, But I have a story to tell. And then,
it begins.
Therefore, I have a story to tell.
Nice.